teacher friend of mine. We've been knowing her for years, but I want to give her the opportunity to tell you who she is. Go ahead, tell them who you are.
Well, my name is Marian Aretha Borden-Davis. I go by Aretha, my second name, and originally from Nova Scotia, Canada, and I have been living in Detroit for the past 21 years. My husband's from Detroit, and that's why I ended up in Detroit. I have two daughters, a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I've been in education since 1994.
Wow. So I'm going to say this right off the bat. What up, though? So let me ask you this. Why teaching? What made you become a teacher?
Well, first of all, my first career choice was pastoral ministry. So that's what I studied for. Yeah. So I went to theology school, did my undergrad, then got my Master of Divinity. And at the time, because it was in the early 90s, they weren't really ordaining women back in Nova Scotia at that time. So it was that's another whole story, another whole fight.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I was really looking for work, and I knew I was marketable because I did a lot of different things. Then I got hired by the Department of Education. Never ever in education before, never did anything. So the Department of Education in Nova Scotia hired me as a life skills developer for community colleges and private trade schools. So I did that for a few months, and then this opportunity came up with the Black Educators Association. It was actually the Black Learners Advisory Committee, who was a committee in the government, and they were looking for a regional educator in one of their major cities in Nova Scotia. So people kept saying, you should apply, and I was like, I don't know anything about education really. So I did apply for it, and so I ended up getting the job, and I did that for 5 years before moving here. So what I did is I advocated on behalf of African Nova Scotian learners within the education system. Yes. I worked with 80 schools, 2 school boards, which consist of 80 schools. And I would go in and intervene on that behalf. I would go in and train teachers on how to educate Black learners, how to provide Black history opportunities for them in the school, not just in February, but all during the year. So all of those different things. And then we had, I had 6 tutoring programs in the community, which educated our children after school. And then while they were in school,
did you have time for anything else?
Well, that was my life. I was single at the time, so that's what I did. Okay. And then I had 8 adult learning, adult literacy programs running during the day. Mm-hmm. So those were different things. And so we attached ourselves to employment, like to the federal government employment agency. So we met with them and did a lot of different things. Then an opportunity came up with the Black Learners Advisory Committee, and they were doing a report for the government with 120 recommendations of how they can make learning better for Black students in Nova Scotia. And one of them is to hire more Black teachers within the province, because I think it was 11,000, they had about 100. Wow. So what they did, they provided scholarships. If you were a Black student in Nova Scotia, you wanted to do an education degree, the government would pay for it. So I was working full time, talked to my boss. They said, you should go for it. So I did. And so that's how I ended up going into education.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Man, okay, so first of all, that's one, and that is amazing. And then the thing is, people don't know a teacher's story. They just figure, oh, you wanted to be a teacher. And I'm thinking I would say 50% of teachers are like, it was an opportunity, and the other ones were like, I wanted to be a teacher in my family, a history of teachers in my family. Let me ask you this, your first day, what was it like? Your first day, you walked in there, you were like, I'm supposed to be a preacher, y'all. I'm not supposed to be, like, what? So you didn't have any kids, you single, you did, and you was like, God, get me through this. Tell me that first day.
The first day of teaching?
Yeah, like the first day you were really, and I know past training, the first day they were like, there you go.
Oh, well, I was married at that time. Okay. So what I did is, so I ended up moving to Detroit in July of 99, and then I finished my education degree at the University of Windsor, just in Canada. So I was traveling back and forth between the U.S. and Canada every day to do my education degree. Graduated, ended up getting a job at a charter school in Highland Park, which is a little city within Detroit, but it's a still-owned city. So my first day of teaching, I was like, wow, I taught kindergarten. Oh. So I had 25 kindergarten students. You
Right.
know, their minds were so fresh. And I think that was my best year of teaching. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but
Yeah.
I went in there acting like I knew what I was doing. Because
Hey,
my
they
boss,
say fake it till you make it. So hey.
yeah, yeah. So my boss used to tell us when we worked for the Black Educators Association, he used to always say, if you don't know what you're talking about, always look like you know what you're talking about. So
No,
that's what I
that's
did.
right.
I went in there like that. And we had an awesome year. And then the second year, I looped with those children to first grade.
Uh-huh.
Those children now I keep in contact with are doing bachelor's degrees, PhDs, master's degrees.
This is
Just
what people
awesome.
don't understand. This is the
Yeah.
thing they don't understand. You got teachers are. I have these new shirts that I have where teachers equal, and it has a big heart on it, and in that heart is a bunch of occupations and careers. And whether it's negative or positive, teachers impact a lot of stuff. And we need to get to the point where past all the COVID, you know what I mean? Past all what COVID now, because this has changed the world as we live it. Before COVID, I would ask you this: what did people need to know about teachers that they just didn't understand?
That we're human and we have lives too. And I think that's very critical because a lot of times you have, whether it's from administrators or parents or people from the
Mhm.
community, there's a lot of attack on teachers.
Yeah,
So if you didn't give the child the grade that the parent thinks they deserve, even though they didn't work for it or what have you, they're going to come up there. You know,
right,
they're
right.
going to be at you or what have you, right? And then
Hmm.
every day, I mean, it's constant, constant, constant. So with us going in the classroom every day, trying to teach these children to become good citizens in
Right,
life, you
citizen,
know,
exactly.
the citizens in life, and to get a work ethic, even at that young age or what have you, you have to deal with a lot of other things. So when I'm working on my prep period, I'm trying to work on lesson plans and other things. I have to answer calls from parents at that time. That's supposed to
Right,
be my time. So I
my,
have to answer calls and people this, that, and what have you, and stuff like that, right? And then sometimes when things are being said to us or said about us, it's like we're not even human and we have no feelings,
like
but we
you're
do.
like they paid for your service. This is
Yeah.
this is the thing that, and I hear the stories all the time about now that COVID has happened. Parents are realizing that the fight that they were fighting for their child is the fight that they're fighting at home. They just didn't know it. They just
That's
never had time. They never had to deal with it in that capacity. Most parents now, or before COVID, you spent at least 2 hours to 3 hours with your child, the average parent, and then it's bed, whatever, and sports, all other stuff. Now you're morning, noon, night, lunch, breakfast,
that
teaching, bed, and they're looking at it like now everybody's like, oh, pay teachers more money. The reason why this is so important, what you're saying, is because I don't want them to forget this moment in time, because everybody said, oh, I can homeschool. I I I can't do this dude's work. And I'm not gonna stand in there. He's letting me know, like, Dad, that's not right at all. Like, and I'm like, all right, well, one I think I can do language arts, I can do chemistry, and I can feed you. That's what I'm good at. I got that. But let me ask you this: if you were to say anything about about what's going on now, what would you have done different about the rollout of all the technology and all this other stuff? Would this be something that they would have mentioned? Like, it's not a contingency plan because we didn't see this happening. But now I hear a lot of teachers saying they were overwhelmed on both ends and they don't know. The communication, we don't know what to do. What would you add? What would be in place, if
well,
anything?
Well, I think with the technology, there were schools that were already doing Google Classrooms and doing things, and like our middle school at the school I teach, I was already doing it, right? I
Mhm.
was trained on Google Classrooms back in September. All of our staff was, right, but I never had a need to use it. Never
Right.
thought I had a need to use it. So the day before they closed the schools or what have you, we had to go in for another training with somebody else. So we did, and we did it. But my whole thing is, that's fine and dandy to do the technology part or what have you, but everybody's not tech savvy. Everyone's learning style is not about technology. Some people
Exactly.
still need a book, need to have an actual book in front of them to open
Right.
up. And especially with African American students, the main delay that we have with our students is comprehension, not
Comprehension.
understand, not understanding what was read. My
Right.
whole thing is, if it was me, I would have just did a swoop across the country, said, get a book out every day with your child, read with your child, and work
Yeah.
on comprehension and
Yeah.
literacy skills.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. Now, I know that I have to still do the technology and what have you and stuff, but the things that I'm doing on the technology, because we're not allowed to teach new things, we have to teach things that we already taught all year. So I'm kind of like running out of ideas. I can be very creative. I can put something together, like, every week and stuff like that, which is fine. Right. But the thing about it, when I only have 5 out of 24 students actually doing it.
That's what a lot of people were saying. They go into, they look at their data and it's like 5 kids out of 24. If you're lucky, if you get a full classroom, maybe at the beginning you got the full classroom, but once they said kids are not going back to school in some states, they were like, I'm in the 5th grade now. I'm a 5th grader. I was in 4th grade. I ain't got to do nothing else. Mom, do I got to do anything else? And what saddened me the other day was I just think about the special need kids or kids that need that, I would say that affection or that energy between the teacher that's been consistent. Some kids don't have consistency at home, and all the situations where the parents are just they're not bothered, or they're somewhere else mentally because of what's going on. And I see kids, their coping mechanism. When you see a kid that doesn't have a coping mechanism, the parents don't either.
Yeah, that's right. And I think what's happened, because I know when it first happened, like I haven't been out of the house basically in a month. I don't go anywhere. And right. I haven't gone anywhere. I went to the bank on March 18th, and I haven't been out since.
That's right. You stay home, Aretha. We need you. You stay home.
Yes. And so the thing about it is because when it first came, I was mentally drained, and I physically wasn't well neither, right? So I really thought I had it, right? Yeah. And so, but the thing about it is that there was a separation. It's like going through a grieving process, which I think people just threw out the door and didn't even realize. The children are going through a grieving process. The teachers are going through a grieving process. People that you were with every single day, you're no longer with. Right. So I think we should have really worked through all of those mental capacities first before we actually went straight into those academics. So you have children that are like, I really don't care what the moral of a fable is on Google's Classrooms when I know I can't be with my friends anymore and I can't be with my teacher anymore, and I'm not getting some of the stuff that I received at school every single day that I depended on. I'm not getting that anymore. So they're trying to process all of those things. They don't have the coping skills that we have as an adult. So it's even more difficult for them. But mentally, people are going through things. And I think that's what we're not really getting to, you know? And then, like I told my husband the other day, I said, I don't even think that we'll even be ready to go back to school in September.
No,
you know?
The decompressing. This is a mental piece that's messing with me. And my thing is, I have to step up my level of creativity. I'm learning stuff about my family that I didn't know before. I'm learning my communication is different. Before, I'm a doer. So I used to just come in the door, do. I'm leaving Friday. I'm going to be out of town for 3 days. So what can I do? Now I have to take in the process of how everybody moves. My wife is like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm not going nowhere. So what is the rush? And I'm like, oh, my bad. I just feel like it needs to be done now. Like my Trey, he's just like, can you go somewhere? Like, why does it got to be done right now? Get that sock up. But I'm going to get it. No, I need to see you get it. Yeah. And, you know what I mean? And he's like, now I'm like, all right, let me leave you alone. Yeah. Let me put some parameters in place. He's eating us out of house and home. So all I do is just watch the kitchen. That's my job now. My wife is like, just watch the food. You cook. I'm running a diner now. I put the chairs up when the kitchen's closed. I take short orders. You know what I mean? I let everybody know the day before. Tomorrow we'll be having lamb. I'm gonna put the menu up on the refrigerator. And we won't be doing snacks on Thursday. So you probably want to come down for breakfast. But let me say this. Ask you, what are you saying now, or what are you doing now that you enjoy, that you never got a chance to do when you were before COVID?
Sleep.
I know that's right.
I'm telling you, Hank, I wake up, we have to work from 9 to 2 every day, right? And so, I mean, I wake up at 8:55, turn my computer on, do all that stuff, little things I have to do, I'll do or whatever, right? But I take my naps during the day. And when I get done at 2 o'clock or what have you, I'm going back to bed.
Did you say nap? You get a nap. I know that's right.
Hey, brother. Hey, I never got one before, so I'm getting them now.
Yeah,
And then afterwards, I'll just take a nap. I'll wake up when I feel like it. I'll get something to eat or what have you, watch a little bit of TV, maybe go on Facebook or what have you, talk to some friends and family or what have you. I go back to sleep. So now my bedtime now is like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this, and I'm gonna get you out of here. What do you miss saying? What do you miss that you used to say on a daily basis? Every time you went in the classroom, you had to say this. You were like, "I'm so glad. I miss saying this."
I don't really miss any. I don't really miss anything. I really don't miss anything.
I just want you to be honest. The other teacher was like, "Oh, I miss telling kids to get their finger, little finger out of their nose and all that stuff." One teacher said, "I miss telling people to shut up. Everybody here at my house knows how to be quiet and get out of my way and do what I ask them." She said, "I have no authority here." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, one thing I miss is after lunch we have to do what we call mindfulness, right? So I tell the children, put your heads down for 15 minutes, and we have nothing but total quietness. My 15 minutes turns into 30 minutes. So hey.
I get you. Okay, real quick, 5 favorite foods. What are they?
Pizza. You may not know what this is. Donaires. It's a Nova Scotia thing.
What is it?
So look it up. Look it up when you get a chance. Okay?
All right.
Yeah. I think here they call them gyros, but they're not the exact same thing.
Okay.
But donaires, pizza donaires, Chinese food.
What kind of Chinese though? Chinese everything?
As long as it's buffet.
Okay. What else?
What else do I like? I like steak.
Okay. Medium or well?
Well. My meat has to be cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to
Last one.
And what else do I like? Just a nice soul food dinner.
Collard greens, macaroni and cheese.
Everything.
Maybe some smothered pork chops, all that.
Yeah, everything. And I don't mind if it touches. I don't mind if it touches.
So let me say this to you. You know what I always say? Pay teachers more money. Why? Because teachers matter. Kids matter most. But you matter to me. This is Teacher Relief Live. I call this Teacher Talk. This is Aretha Borden-Davis. Did I say it right? I got it. Tell the husband I said thank you for holding you down. I want to tell you, I love your art. I don't know where that picture is in my house behind you, but I have that picture. My wife has it somewhere. She's got art all over the place.
Okay.
I can't, you see, I got the mirror here. She was like, "Don't touch my mirror. Don't take down nothing. I don't kick your little interviews, finish your little interviews and move out of my space." And so I'm moving in different areas around the house. That's why I'm always in the kitchen, because she's like, "You can't go anywhere else." And I'm like, everywhere I go, I'm like, "It's clean over here." She's like, "Yeah, it's clean, but I don't want my stuff in people's business. I don't want nobody to know what I got in my house." I'm like, "All right, okay."
That's right.
So thank you for what you do so much. Applaud you. And take care of yourself. Don't leave that house till you have to.
I'm not. And thank you for what you do for us.
You know what? Thank you.
You're the voice of teachers across America, and you say what we want to say, but we cannot say.
Thank you. I didn't ask. You know, I said I didn't ask for it. But I knew that God only gives you what you can handle. Thank you for watching Teachers Talk, and remember to comment and share and follow Teachers Relief on Facebook.